morning we're going to talk about the mindset for success, the right mindset to have for success. Now, it may sound like it's just a mindset, but it's a number of different things that you need to address about your mindset if you plan to be, if you want to be successful in what you do. Okay, let's do a section on the right mindset for success. Now, I'm not any form of motivational speaker or psychologist or pep up artist or anything like that. That's just not what I do. But what I do know is that there are certain things that I have adopted in my life that have helped me to move forward and get forward. There are things that I look at and listen to and do that I know are effective and work. Silly things like just this morning, just watching that motivational video. I love watching the motivational video in the morning. Okay. That for me, it sets the tone. If not for the whole day, at least for that first part of the morning. Instead of waking up and thinking the wrong thoughts, thinking bad thoughts, worrying about something that maybe you can't even control, by putting on one of those motivational videos. And by the way, the guys who put those things together, I mean, they are artists in their own right. The guys who actually stick the music and they dig out all of the speeches and things and they put all of this together. I mean, that in itself is a skill. But the very fact that you can play something like that and it can pep you up and it can make you think differently and more positively for the morning. And I don't mean positively in the sense of being Pollyannish. That's not what this is about. This is about getting yourself in the right frame of mind so that you can succeed throughout the day. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through a number of different things that I believe if you adjust in the way you think, if you adjust in your mindset, then you can't fail but be successful. If you build these into you, if you adopt these, then you will be successful. But the bottom line is, then you've got to define what is success. And the reality is about what is success. The reality is that success is different for everybody. Your idea of success will be completely different to my idea of success. Neil's idea will be completely different to Connor's idea. James's idea will be completely different to Anthony's idea. David's idea will be different to, I don't know, who else is out there, to Gary's idea. We will all have a different concept or a different idea of what success means to us. Now, some people put a monetary value on that and say, okay, when I've got six figure a year or a month income, that's success. When I've got 2 million in the bank, that's success. When I own 4 properties, that's success. When I can spend more time with my children, that's success. When I can take my wife away to all the places in the world that she wants to visit, that's success. Some people will have different views about what success is. It would be interesting actually to know this morning. There's 12 of you out there at the moment, so there's no harm in doing this. It won't overwhelm the system. Type in, tell me, what is your idea of success? When will you know? Because you hear a lot of people say, I want to be successful. I want my business to be successful. But then when you ask them, what do they know or what do they mean by success? They can't really quantify it. They can't really say what they know or for them will be success. And the problem with that is if you don't know what you're striving for, how can you get there? And we're going to talk about that once we get going, once we get things on the move. We're going to talk about having that vision. What's the first thing that we need to do, in my view, if we are to be successful? I think the first thing is we need to adopt a growth mindset and not have a fixed mindset. Now, what do I mean by a growth mindset? A growth mindset, and again, this could mean different things to different people, but a growth mindset for me means the willingness to expand, the willingness to learn. And when I say expand, I don't necessarily mean expand your business and get a huge business. I mean expand your thinking, expand your knowledge base to learn. You see, a fixed mindset is normally held by people who are immovable. They're the kind of people who will say things like, oh, it is what it is, right? And accept things. You can't do anything about that because, and they'll have an excuse or they'll have a reason, right? One of the easiest ones to refer to, often heard in the toolbox, is, oh, I couldn't charge that in this area because my customers just wouldn't have that. Yeah, you wouldn't get away with doing it here. That's a fixed mindset. That's a mindset that says, people in this area are a certain way and I can't influence that. A growth mindset would say, okay, so I want to charge £95 as a minimum charge. How do I go about doing that? And then they would look at the different methods and different ways, and that may mean changing the type of customers that you have. That may mean going and positioning yourself better. It may mean educating yourself more. It may mean changing some of the systems within your business. That's a growth mindset. Okay, so I think one of the things that you need to do in order to be successful is question yourself. Do you have a fixed mindset or do you have a growth mindset? And I think there was a study done, and I can't remember, I can't refer to it. I'm just aware of it in the back of my mind. There was a study done by a university that looked at this scientifically and saw that people who had a growth mindset ended up being more successful, had more successful outcomes than people who had a fixed mindset. And I mean, even if you go back, and I'm not, don't get me wrong, I'm not religious, okay, in any way, shape, or form. But just as I'm talking here now, and this is freestyle because it's just coming to me as I'm talking about it. But even if you go back to, say, Bible or Bible studies or whatever way you did it at school, there was a parable, and the parable was about the talents, wasn't it? If I can remember correctly, that the Lord of the house, or whatever he was, gave 3 of his servants an equal measure of gold when he went away on a trip. He was going away on a trip, and he decided he was going to give them each an equal measure of gold. Anyway, the upshot was, when he came back, 2 of the servants, 2 of the people that he gave the equal measure of gold to, had invested or grown or bought and sold or done something with the talents. They had a growth mindset. They took the measure of gold, and they used that measure of gold to actually get, and a measure of gold was a talent, believe it or not. But they used that measure to get more, to grow it. And one grew it very well, and one grew it very, cautiously, but grew it. And then the final one had actually buried the talent, had buried the measure of gold to keep it safe. That's a fixed mindset. And that person wasn't rewarded because, in fact, I think according to the parable, they were sacked, they were outed, they were gone. And that's a fixed mindset. That's somebody who shrinks in and goes, look, I've got this, I'm going to hang on to this. I'm not going to take any chances. I'm not going to drive myself forward. I'm just going to hang on to what I've got and be safe. And a growth mindset will have you, and particularly in times of adversity, whether we're talking about recessions or anything like that, COVID, all of that type of thing, particularly in times of challenge, you need to start thinking outside of the box, and you need to start taking risks to a certain extent. We'll talk about risks in a little while, but even during when we were going through the whole COVID fiasco, and people were concerned about, will they ever work again? How do you get into people's homes, and so on and so forth? We became creative. We started looking at different solutions, whether that was video, doing quotes over video, or providing people with advice so that they could do minor stuff themselves, and so on and so forth. But you start to get creative. That's a growth mindset. A fixed mindset would have gone, oh, there's no other way of doing it, so we just have to accept the fact that we're all going to be punished now, and leave it at that. And that's a fixed mindset. What else do we need to do? We need to start thinking abundantly and not about scarcity. What often happens is, and this goes back to that story of the talents again as well, it's like you hang on to what you have, and you think that other people are going to come and take what you have. And a really good example of this as electricians is, and I know toolboxers don't do this, but before you were a toolboxer, perhaps you did. But what people do is they consider other electricians in their local area to be the enemy, and they don't share ideas, they don't look to get involved. They are concerned about them stealing their web copy, and they're concerned about stealing their emails, and they're concerned about that they're going to take my customers. So they don't talk to them, they don't share stuff when they're meeting the wholesalers, they don't look for help, when in fact they could probably do with some help and get some help from these people. That's a scarcity mindset. That's a mindset that says, I'm concerned that people are going to take from me. Whereas an abundant mindset is one that believes, there's enough out there for all of us. And trust me, there is. I don't care where you are based. I don't care if you have 20 other electricians working in your area. I think I've often told the story that when I was on the tools, I had 13 other electricians within walking distance of my house. Within walking distance, I had 13 other electricians within the area. Okay. And did I have a scarcity mindset? Yeah, I would imagine early on in my career I did. But did I change? Yes, I did. Did I get involved with these people? Some of them I did, and they got involved with me because they didn't have a scarcity mindset. But some of the others would never respond and never get back in touch and never help out because they had a scarcity mindset. They were the ones concerned that, oh, if I get in touch with this guy, if I help this guy out, then he's going to steal my customers. If I ask him for help, he's going to steal my customers. That's a scarcity mindset. An abundant mindset believes, not only believes, but knows that there's enough out there for all of us. And there's a huge amount of work out there. And as you know, within the toolbox, if you can follow the first part of the toolbox where we talk about specializing, and you niche down into the type of person you want to work for, the type of work you want to do, and the type of area that you want to actually work in, and your pricing, you put all of those four components together, then you guys don't need the same customers. And certainly within the same area, if you've got 13, 14, 15, 20 other electricians, if each of them had niched or thought about niching in that manner, you would realize that you don't need the same customers, that you can actually help one another to find work. Fearing failure, the amount of people that stop, prevent themselves from moving forward, prevent themselves from doing stuff because they're afraid that it will go wrong. They're afraid that they will lose. They're afraid that people will ridicule them. They're afraid of all of this fear of failure. Look, there is no such thing as failure. James, you've gone fucking loony. What do you mean there's no such thing as failure? Of course there is. Let's put it another way. If you looked at failure as learning instead of as failing, how different would your life be? If you looked at every time something went wrong as a lesson in how not to do something, in a lesson in changing what you do, how different would things be? You see, my book, the way I look at it, failure is never occurs unless you give up. Unless you give up. Now, the one area of my life, where I believe, inverted commas, and I'm using the word very, very carefully here, I believe I fail in. I'm not saying I'm a failure in, I believe I fail in, and that is my weight and my health, right? Because I keep going back and trying to sort it out. I keep going back and trying to sort it out. I keep going back and trying to sort it out. And I'll go for a run at it for 3 months and then I'll stop. I'll go for a run at it 6 months and then I'll stop. I'll try weights, I'll try walking, I'll try swimming, I'll do all sorts of different things, and then I'll swap and I'll change and I'll do, right? So for anybody, for intensive purposes, I fail at that part of my life, okay? But the reality is I haven't failed at all because I haven't fucking given up. Even today, I haven't given up. I keep trying to get it right. I keep going. I keep persisting. And you know what? One day I may find whatever it is that's going to resolve my weight issue because I keep trying. Okay. The fact that I keep trying is keeping me healthier anyway. Right? The fact that I keep going back, the fact that I keep doing is positive and keeps me healthy anyway. So whether I find the magic bullet or not, that's going to help me to lose the fucking weight that I want, and there's no such thing as a magic bullet, by the way. But when I get to that, then perhaps I will have succeeded. But I certainly have not failed because I haven't quit. Now, if I quit, if I sit back on my laurels and go, oh, well, it is what it is, that's it. What's going to happen? I'm going to go from 16 and a half to 17 stone. I'm going to go from 17 stone to 20 stone. I'm going to go from 20 stone to 25 stone, and so on and so forth. Yeah, because I quit. That's failure. Quitting is failure. So stop fearing failure. Look at failure as a learning. In every time you fall down, there was a lesson in that. But what people do is, some people, like you guys are great because you've started a business, right? How many people, and you'll see this on some of those other Facebook groups that are out there, you'll see people, I've had enough, I'm giving up, I can't cope with the customers. I'm chasing money all the time. So they give up and they go back into employment. Like, you started a business. You're running a business. You're going with your business. Now, does it go well all the time? Maybe not. No. Are there, pit stops in the fucking road? Absolutely. And we get them. Yeah. But you haven't failed in business. You may have difficulty getting money in. You may have weeks where there's no money in the bank and you're not paying yourself a wage, but you keep going and you keep going and you keep going and you keep working at it. But then some people just give up. They throw their dream away. So they have this dream, I want to be self-employed, but then they hit a few hurdles. They hit some hurdles in the road on the way, and then they stop and they go, that's too much pain for me. I can't do it. You know what? Success is on the other side of pain. Success is on the other side. You've got to be uncomfortable. I'm trying to think who it was that said it. It's the comedian, it'll come to me. He does a talk show, a game show on TV. It's gone anyway. But he says that you've got to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because success is on the other side of pain. You cannot get success without going through some form of fucking challenge. You look at most of the famous people in the world who have succeeded at anything, they have failed first. They've gone through hardship first. I can guarantee you, if you look at even programs like, and I know many of you enjoy like things like Dragon's Den and stuff like that. If you look at anybody on those panels at Dragon's Den, right, Ballantyne, any of them, you look at them, they have had huge failures. Inverted commas, I use the word because it's not a failure if you're learning from it, but they've had huge failures before they got to the success that they get to. So being afraid of failing is going to bring you back to having that, that lack mindset, that fixed mindset, because you're going to stand there and go, it is what it is. I failed at that, so I'm going to stop. I'm not going to try again. Those leaflets didn't work for me, so I'm going to stop. Imagine you did that the first time you ever did leaflets. And I know many of you did leaflets prior to joining the toolbox. Many of you have done leaflets and you've gone, fuck it, I'm never going to do that again. Loads of people do it. Yeah. Imagine I had done that. Imagine when I first did my fucking first batch of leaflets, and they were all colorful, and I looked brilliant. My van looked lovely on it. They were shiny. They had blue and yellow and fucking nice headings and everything. And I went and I put out thousands of these fucking leaflets and got fuck all back off of it. Imagine I stood back then and said, leaflets don't work. I failed at that. I failed at that. I'm not going to do that again. Then I would never have created what I created with the orange leaflet, because I used it as a learning. I thought, okay, so that didn't work. What do I need to do? What do I need to alter? What do I need to change? Now, hang on. The orange and black leaflet was not the next fucking step. Did I have other failures on the way? Yeah. I tried all sorts of things before getting to the orange, and you know the story, you know the backstory. I tried a number of different things before getting to what I found actually worked. But if I'd just given up when the first time or the second time failed, we would never have gotten to that. So you don't look at failures as failing, look at it as learning. Think, what is the lesson in this? If this didn't work for me on this occasion, what's the lesson in this? What can I take from it to move me forward? Next thing you need to do, and this is probably actually the first thing you need to do. This next thing that I'm going to talk about is probably the very first thing that you need to do in all reality, and that is to have a long-term vision. Know where you're going to go. Know what your plan is. Have a why. Why are you doing what you're doing? We talked about this when we were out on a retreat in St. Lucia. And the example that I used was, if you don't have a why, if you don't have a destination for you, and that destination may be monetary, that destination may be replacing yourself in the business so you can spend time with your family, that destination may be going on regular holidays with your family. It's your why, it's your goal. It's what is the vision that you are trying to achieve? Because many of us wandered through our business life thinking, I'm going to start a business, but not really knowing what the outcome is, not really knowing what they want. And then 6, 7, 8 years into their running their business, and you talk to any electrician particularly, because that's the area I work in, 5, 6 years into their business, you ask, what do you want to do? What do you want to achieve? And the majority of them say, I want to get off the tools. Right? Is that a big enough fucking vision? But that's the majority. Majority will say, I want off the tools. I'm running my business, I want to get off the tools. And that's as far as they see. But the reality is, what is the vision? Why do you want to get off the tools? What's beyond getting off the tools? So have a long-term vision. What is that vision for you? And again, that's going to be different for everybody. And the example that we used when we were out in on the workshop in St. Lucia was if you're sailing a boat and you're going from this island to that island over there, you can look and it may be 15, 25 miles across. And you can see the island, you can see it, right? But it's over there, right? And you look at it and you leave the shore where you're leaving. And you know, my destination, my vision, where I want to be is over there. That red flag post on that island over there, that's where I want to get to, right? You know that's what you want to do. But then you set sail. And as you set sail, a gust of wind comes from the left and it pushes you off to the left. The left, which one's left? That one over there for me. Over there for you? I don't know. But it pushes you off to the left, right? So what do you have to do? You got to steer a course and get back on track. And then a gust of wind comes and it pushes you off to the right. And what do you have to do? You got to come back in and steer back so that you get back on course. And as you go across that little piece of water, you're at 15, at 25 miles, and you're heading for that red flag, you may get pushed with huge winds, way, 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 way off course. But you have the vision. You have that red flag to look at. You know where you want to actually go. And that's the same in life. That's the same in business. That's the same in relationships. That's the same with money. If you have the vision, if you know what you are actually trying to achieve, then life comes along and it throws you a fucking curveball. It throws COVID up at you. You go this way. It throws fucking recession up at you. It goes this way. It throws having to make staff redundant and it puts you off that way. They change the regulations and the rules as far as electrical installations are concerned. It throws you off that way. All of the time, all you're doing is you're adjusting your course to get to that red flag, to get to that vision. But if you don't have a vision, if you don't have a long-term, guys, I hope this is making sense to you. If it is, I want to see some thumbs, hearts, and smiley faces going up. If this is giving you some kind of food for thought, let me see that. And if you're getting any kind of penny drop moments, then please do let me know that you've had a penny drop moment. But going back to this analogy, going back to this story with the having the vision and the flag, if you don't have a vision, if you don't know what your end goal is going to be, then when life throws a curveball like COVID or something, it's going to take you way off course and you've got nowhere to redirect yourself. So what do? You find a different goal or a different vision or a different, and somebody else's. You're following somebody else's fucking timeline. You're doing stuff because, yeah, not because it's your vision, but because somebody else suggested it, because it's a good thing to do, because somebody else is trying it. I'm going to do this because John down the road is doing it. I'm going to do this because the neighbors are doing it. I'm going to do this because I saw another electrician doing it. Not because it's going to get me where I want to fucking be. And that way you get lost. You'll just go around in fucking circles and you'll go past the island, you'll go into the fog and it will just get all fucked up. But when you have a vision, when you can see the flag, when you know that's what I want, that's what I'm doing. Yes, I may have to change things for a little while and come back to it. Yes, I may have to fucking reduce my staffing levels and come back to it. Yes, I might have to sell the van and get a smaller van and come back to it. Different, I may have to spend that money and not have it saved for what I need to be saved for and come back to it. But you have the vision. You know you have the direction. How many of you actually have? How many of you have actually sat down and written up, this is what I want out of my fucking life. This is what I want from this business. This is what I want from this relationship. This is what I want in my bank. How many of you have actually created that vision for yourself? I talk about it in very cold and hard terms. I know Leila actually does she runs a program, and in that program they create vision boards within that program. And on a vision board. Now I've got one created. Look, this, if you want to do it, it's up to you. But I have one created. But on a vision board, you will project what is it you want in various different areas of your life. What do you want in terms of your domestic situation? What do you want in your finances? What do you want for your toys, the things that you want? And you create a vision board. and you have it somewhere. I use it as a screensaver on my computer. You can screensaver it on your computer, put it up on your office wall, and you create it with images of what it is you're actually projecting, what it is you actually want. And you look at it each day to remind you, what is it that you're striving for? What is it you're trying to achieve? But without a vision, you're just going to go round and round and round in a circle. From your vision, you need to set short-term goals. And that's what we talk about quite a bit in the toolbox. We normally talk about goals as far as your business is concerned, but you've got to set goals from your vision. You know, how do you get to your vision? And the way you get to your vision is you break it down. You break it down into a 5-year goal. Break your 5-year goal down into a 1-year goal. Break your 1-year goal down into a 12-month goal. Break your 12 months down. 12 months down into quarters. Break your quarters down into months. Break your months down into weeks. Break your weeks down into days. Because that's how you achieve stuff. That's how you get stuff done. If you look at the big vision, if you look at the big goal, the big dream, and you become overwhelmed and you think, oh shit, how do I ever get to that? And again, this was a big part of what we did out in St. Lucia. By the way, we will be doing it again. So if you're interested, bear that in mind. But this is a big part of what we did when we were out there. It's about breaking down. You take that big vision and then you break it down, and you set shorter term goals for yourself. You set them annually, you set them quarterly, you set them monthly, you set them weekly, and you set them daily. Because if you break it down like that, it becomes manageable, and you start to see that on all these areas that I want to address in my life, if I do one thing each day for all of these areas in my life, then as the weeks go by, my life is progressing. As the months go by, my life is progressing. As the years go by, my life is progressing. But if I just have a vision, if I just have what I'm looking for out in the distance and I'm doing nothing to get to it, then it's always just going to be a dream. It's always just going to be a vision. Yes, you have to have it. Yes, you have to have it. But when you have it, you have to do things to get to it. And that's what your short-term goals are. And again, setting the goals is one thing. Following through on what you set is another. You also need to be prepared to break rules. And what do I mean by break rules? I don't mean you become a disruptive influence. I don't mean you get in trouble with the law. I mean, you need to look at what other people are doing and be prepared to do the opposite. You know, we mentioned a good case in hand at the moment is if I mention again the leaflets. When everybody in the fucking world, every marketer, every graphic designer in the world was telling me, oh no, you need to have shiny, you need to have your image on there, you got to have this, you got to have, when everybody was saying that's how leaflets should be fucking done, particularly graphic designers, yeah, I decided to be a rule breaker. I thought, no, if that's not working for me, what can I make work for me? And instead of doing what everybody else was telling me, everybody else was saying, oh, you've got to make yourself look professional. You've got to make yourself look corporate. You've got to be a strong business presence. You've got to use deep blues, and you've got to have a strong font, and you've got to have your image on, and blah, 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 all of this stuff. And they were all telling me this because that's business knowledge. That's going to make you stand out. That's going to make people feel happier using you. And I went away and I decided, hang on a second, if that's not working, what's the opposite to that? What's the fucking reverse of that? And the reverse of that was a raggedy fucking light paper leaflet. There was various different iterations, but an orange fucking leaflet printed off on my own fucking printer with torn edges from a guillotine that chopped it up. So it was obviously not all square and everything. And it was cheap looking. It was raggedy arse looking. That's breaking rules, because the rule said, use a strong colors, have this font, use this wording, have it on glossy paper, it should be thick, and so on and so forth. All of those were the rules. So when I said be a rule breaker, I mean, look at what other people are doing and be prepared to do the opposite. Be prepared to do things differently. Be prepared to take something, look at it, and tear it apart, tear it down, and rebuild it. I don't mean go out and fucking break the law, okay? Be a rule breaker. The other thing, and again, very important, we're almost towards the end of this, but very important, is listen to your gut. Your intuition is much better than you actually know. How many times have you set out to do something in business and you've held back and you haven't done it, but your gut was saying you should go ahead and do it. Your gut saying you should go ahead and do it, but you've held back and you've not done it. And as a result, you've missed an opportunity. Or turn it around the other way. You set out to do something and your gut tells you you shouldn't do it, but other people around you persuade you, no, go ahead, you should do that. Right. But your gut has told you don't do it. And then you do it and you realize your gut was the right thing to listen to, but everybody else was saying, no, go ahead and do it, go ahead and do it. And it ended up not working for you or costing you money or anything. Yeah, it's one thing that I have a strong belief in. And I've told you everything that I've just talked about this morning is stuff that I feel qualified to talk about because of things that I practice and do in my own life. And one of the things that I do is I listen to my gut a lot. I listen to my intuition a lot. If something doesn't feel right, if something doesn't smell right, I guess, intuition, then I'm less likely to do it, to get involved in it. I'm more likely to question it and dig deeper. But also, if my gut tells me I should jump in and do something, but all of the other warning signs are, people are saying, no, don't get involved in that, don't do that. Then I will often run with my gut. I will often go, no, this feels like the right thing for me. So listen to your gut, listen to your intuition. It will not put you wrong. And this is going to sound contrary. If it does put you wrong, it's because you're not listening properly, because you're not attuned to your own intuition. So learn how to use your intuition. Do it carefully. Look into things, but trust your gut. When everybody else is saying something different and your gut is telling you to do something, go with your gut. Go with your gut. And I think the final thing, I'm going to come to any questions. Guys, if you've got questions, if you've got comments, if you're getting value out of this, let me see some thumbs, hearts, and smiley faces. But I'm going to come to your comments in just a minute, because the final thing is what I would suggest is stay positive. Keep positive. And I said this at the beginning, when I talked about motivational videos. This is not about being Pollyannish. This is not about putting on rose-tinted glasses and going, you know what, everything is great in the world, la, 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 la. Because everything's not fucking great in the world. The world is quite a fucked up place. But you know where I can make things great? I can make things great 5 feet around me. I can make things great fucking 25 feet around me. And if I so desire, I can make things great a fucking mile or 10 miles around me. Because I'm in control of how I feel. I am in complete control of how I feel. You get up every morning, right? Right. Okay, call me a fucking looper if you want. I get up every morning. What do I say to myself? I say to myself every morning, guys, and genuinely, every morning I say, this is a great day. Not it's going to be a great day. This is a great day. Okay? That's number one. Number two, I will say to myself, I am in complete control of how I feel. Because I am in complete control of how I feel. And then I will tell myself, I am open and ready to learn today. I am open and ready to learn today. Those are the things I say to myself every morning. Now, call me a looper if you like, but it works for me. I also take time in the mornings to watch motivational videos. I think there's nothing better than starting the day with a kick from either Arnold Schwarzenegger or any of those motivational speakers, any of them. There are some great stuff. There's some great compilation stuff out there. Now, this is not about being Pollyannish and thinking to yourself, oh, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing, if I just positive thinking, there's no fucking thing. Positive thinking is fuck all. Positive action is important. Positive action is important. So think positively, but act positively. It costs nothing to wake up and have a smile in the morning. It costs nothing to greet people and say good morning and good afternoon. It costs nothing to talk up about things instead of talking down about things. Instead of sitting down and going, oh, the fucking world's going to shit in a handcart and there's no money and there's no this and there's no, talk up. Find the positives. Look at the positives in life. Because I guarantee you, it will change your outlook. It will change how you approach things. It will change how you do things. And when you change all of that, then you'll start to find that you start looking at things abundantly rather than scarcity. But it all has to start with you. It all has to start with you. Nobody else is coming. Nobody else is going to change you. Nobody else is going to make you feel positive. And by the way, nobody's making you fucking feel miserable either. Get away from all that fucking blame shit, right? It is not the government's fault. It is not immigrants' fault. It's not the weather's fault. It's not your wife's fault. It's not your kids' fault. Get away from all the fucking blame shit. Because when you're blaming other people or other things or other circumstances for your situation, when you're doing that, you can't do anything about it. Because if it's their fucking fault, you can never change them. But if it's your responsibility, then you can change. If it's your responsibility, you can look at whatever the situation is. If it's finances, you can go and fucking earn more money. Don't ever tell me you can't earn more money. Everybody can earn more money. Are you prepared to put the fucking work in to do that? Yeah? You can have 2 fucking holidays a year, 3 holidays a year, if you want to. Are you prepared to do the work that's going to mean that you can do that? You can have a great fucking relationship with your wife. That's in your control. It's not her fucking control. That's in your control. But are you prepared to put the work in to do that? You can have a successful business and you can be off the fucking tools. You can do that. But are you prepared to put the work in? Are you prepared to put the effort in? Here ended the lecture. I'm going to go and have a look at your comments and your questions right now, guys. If you have any questions or comments, do get your questions in. And look, on this whole subject of keeping positive, just remember, and again, scientifically proven, it's not fucking me, optimists tend to be much more successful than pessimists. So if you go out looking at life with a more positive outlook, that in itself is going to help you to be more successful. Okay? Hopefully you've had some value out of this morning. Let me see some thumbs, hearts, and smiley faces.